Hey folks, hope you guys are doing great today. Welcome to the new year, and we're gonna hop into it pretty quick here. So I just want to do a little bit of I did a separate video earlier talking about plans for this year, so I'll reiterate some of that for those of you who didn't feel like watching that video, and while we get more people in for the live stream. So here's the basic plans for what I've got going on. Is for gaming streams, I basically stole this idea from my friend Pete. He's like, I've been planning out, I'm going to play all the Final Fantasy games in order. And he just wanted to do that for his own personal amusement and reflection. I'm like, there's actually a lot to talk about there with game design and how stories have changed and what kind of big milestones you had for the series. It's been a very influential series for, I think, RPGs in general, not just JRPGs, and I think there's a lot of nostalgia, especially with my generation, for several entries in the series. I'd say the big ones would be number 1, which I'm going to start with today, number 4, which came out as Final Fantasy II, and really kind of revolutionized the way people thought about JRPG construction in general, where you have a shift from more freewheeling playing to something that's a lot more narrative focused. And then, of course, 6 and 7. Those are going to be the big nostalgia points. My favorites, really, I think, are probably 4 and 9 and 6, as well as, you guys are not going to believe this, maybe because it's kind of come on under fire the last few years, but actually Final Fantasy 13, which I think is actually a really cool game, and actually is one of the best soundtracks, I think, in the entire series, as well as some of the most interesting graphics and gameplay to me. But so I'll be doing that, and I might interrupt the linear nature of this to do Final Fantasy 16 when that comes out. And so one of the things I'm going to try to do is have a more consistent streaming schedule that's not just one day a week, but I have kind of debating when that's going to be. It may just be late at night, like at midnight. It may be a midnight thing, so you can watch in the morning in Europe, or midday if you happen to be in Australia or somewhere in the Far East or Pacific. And so that's what I'm thinking about for the streaming part of the channel. I have a bunch of analysis content lined up to do regarding anime and manga and some other stuff that I think is really fun to talk about. And I'll do some more Star Wars content. I had a 1-year ban on doing Star Wars content, and so I'll talk a little bit about Mandalorian, but there's not that much else to do with Star Wars stuff. Nor do I want to focus intensely on Star Wars. It's just not that interesting to me at the moment, especially given the state of the IP. You're going to end up complaining because of who has it and how they're running it, rather than being excited about the next game coming out. And for me, it's more fun to be excited about fun things, or excited about the next movie coming out or something. So anyway, that's what's going on with that. February, I think I'm going to, as far as book writing goes, I'm going to edit a book this month and hopefully get that out. I have a couple big fantasy projects for later in the year that I just kind of have to tie up loose ends on and get ready with that. February, I'm gonna do music. I don't remember what it's called, but basically there's a NaNoWriMo, but music. And so I'm gonna do that. And I think it's write 10 songs in a month, which is actually very difficult. And it'd be difficult for me to do because of time constraints, but I think it'd be a great challenge, and it'd give me a good opportunity to just focus on music for a while and really pump out a new album. And I'm really going to try to focus more on ambient soundtrack stuff like I did with the first Zool album. But this one's going to be, I don't know, in my mind it's like soundtrack to a game which doesn't exist. That's kind of what I want to go for. Your guide to YouTube as an author would be fun to see. Yeah, I could do that too. That's definitely something I could talk about. In general, here's the big thing for, if you're an author and you're looking at YouTube is about making content people want to see. So if you're coming in from a perspective of how do I make this sell books for me as an author or something? I don't really sell that many books through YouTube. I know some of you buy the books, and I'm very appreciative of that. But really, the books tend to get sold through basic Amazon channels more than YouTube. YouTube's really about making content, and you can use it as a marketing tool, but you have to make content that people want, or talk about things that people are interested in, and then you're plugging your book, let's say. So I notice a lot of authors, they want to make a bunch of content talking about their book and why you should buy it, and people don't watch that content because it's not interesting. Whereas if they had something kind of related to that book, like if you're writing a mystery book and you did some content on like a mystery game or something that people were interested in, like how to make a murder mystery in dinner party game or something. Someone might look that up, find it. Oh, he also writes mysteries. Maybe I'll buy one. You gotta kind of cross pollinate those. And since I'm coming out with a lot of fantasy this year, why not play Final Fantasy, one of my favorite series? So that'll be a lot of fun. I'm gonna do some anime reviews that I'm pretty excited to talk about some of them, because I think they've done some things really well that I think writers should pay attention to, for sure. Lightning Returns. I have never played Lightning Returns. I didn't play the Final Fantasy 13 sequels. So one of the things I was thinking about for this is no sequels, so no Final Fantasy X-2. I may want to put Final Fantasy Tactics in there, because I actually think that's my favorite Final Fantasy game. Even though it's not a mainline series game, it's a really, really good game, and it's definitely one worth playing if you've never played Final Fantasy Tactics. I don't know how much fun it would be to stream, because it's a rather slow game to play. The gameplay is very methodical and kind of slow paced. It's very fun if you're playing it, but it may not be quite as fun to watch. So today we're starting with the very first Final Fantasy game, and I'll talk about my plans for doing this series. I think I can clear out some of the earlier games a little bit quicker than the later games. Obviously, the later games get really very time intensive as far as what's going on, and it may take me more than a year to get through all of them, but I think it's a fun project to embark on. The first one I'm going to play on NES, or really on an NES emulator, because it's simpler than trying to bring in my NES and like plug in the cartridge and mess with all that kind of stuff. So I'll be doing that on an emulator. I want to do the NES version. There's multiple versions of all of these. What are your thoughts on the Dragon Quest series? I love the Dragon Quest series. Dragon Quest was originally Dragon Warrior on the NES, and I guess I could do that series too. That would be a great series to play through as well. But I don't know. Final Fantasy is very appealing. I love Dragon Quest games as well. Dragon Quest, to me, is the holding down the traditional, and Final Fantasy is the finding new ways to play the game kind of thing. So if you want the traditional gameplay, Dragon Quest keeps that traditional gameplay basically through all its installments, which is great. You get to know exactly what you're going to expect, including if you were to play, say, the Japanese version of Dragon Quest XI. There's no voiceovers, because traditionally they didn't have voiceovers. They were all text. Now, if you play, say, the 3DS version of Dragon Quest VIII, which is a great game, and I recommend it actually on the 3DS if you have the 3DS. It's actually not a 3D game, but it needs the hardware of the 3DS to run properly. Anyway, it's got voiceovers and stuff, and it's got a great plot, and just the gameplay's fun. The aesthetics that are made by who did this? It's the same guy who created Dragon Ball. His name is just not in my head for some reason right now, but he did all the character design for the Dragon Quest games as well, and so that aesthetic, even from the beginning concept art, even though you don't really see it on the Dragon Warrior NES games, it's kind of carried through on the series and gives it sort of a lighthearted, more fun feel to it. I think the aesthetics really make a difference, whereas Final Fantasy is a little more serious, super serious. Final Fantasy X was cool. I don't really have a problem with Final Fantasy X other than there's some unbalanced parts with like boss fights and stuff. I think there's a part where you fight Seymour as like he's like an undead version towards the end of the game, and like he's the hardest boss up to that point and is way harder than what your party can handle. I always have to stop there and like go back and grind and then come back and fight him because he's such a tough boss to fight. Anyway, so let's go ahead and jump in. We're going to do Akira Toriyama. That's right. Thank you, Megabuster Shepherd. That's right. Akira Toriyama, or Toriyama Akira. He did all the aesthetics for that, and I think it makes a big difference. I think the aesthetic contribution can't really be underrated, because his style makes the world just feel much more just alive and fun. When you play a Dragon Quest game, you feel like this is going to be a fun game. And I loved Dragon Quest 11 because there was all kinds of fun stuff in it. Like you could buy cat suits, weird little stripper outfits and stuff, like the bunny suit outfit. There's just a lot of stuff. Yeah, Seymour than Unalesca had these brutal difficulty spikes. It's like, you're just cruising through the game and then you get there and you get obliterated in 2 turns. You have to like scratch your head and go back and figure out what to do. If you have a lot of gold, you can go back and get Yojimbo and he'll just like one-shot Seymour. he can completely destroy him. But you have to have like a ridiculous amount of gold to hire Yojimbo. So he's kind of the trick to get through that. Geekdom, yeah, someone said Toriyama. Let's talk about Dragon Quest. It's like you can't really underrate the aesthetic contribution there because it's so much fun. Anyway, so I'm going to do the first one on NES, even though it's got a bunch of things that they fixed in later versions, like the graphics are better if you play the PSP version. And if you're playing on iOS or anything after that, it's based on the PlayStation Portable version. There's also a version for the original PlayStation, which is called Final Fantasy. I think in the West it's Final Fantasy Origins, which is the first 2 games, and that's the first Western localization of the first Final Fantasy game. That one fixes a bunch of stuff with the script. When we play it, you'll see there's actually a limited character space. So this was an issue with taking games from Japan and bringing them to the West back in the 80s and 90s, is the amount of character space needed, like, letters to write something, was limited. Now in Japanese, the character use can be a little bit more efficient because you can use kanji, which are Chinese characters that represent whole words. And the Japanese character system is a syllable at a time, meaning a word like Akira would actually only take 3 character slots instead of 4. And that efficiency makes it so that most of the names can be done in 4 character slots. Whereas in English, you need a lot more characters than 4 to make most names. Like David is a 5 character name, even though it's only 2 syllables. Whereas in Japanese, you could do it with like 2 characters. You do like a Ra and I don't even know if they have a Va. Maybe Dafid or something. Dafidu. You do just 3 characters. Oh, thank you for the super chat, Frank. Missed the last couple of live streams. Here's a big thank you for your writing content. Thank you. I've referenced your book videos for writing all throughout 2020. I'm so glad they were useful for you. I have a lot more writing content planned and a lot more analysis content that I'm really looking forward to doing this year. Including stuff like what I would do if I were doing it over again. I do really appreciate that. If I were doing it over again, I would do a lot of things different, but I learn a lot by making mistakes, and that's kind of the way that I like to go through life. It's like, make mistakes, no big deal. Anyway, I do appreciate that, so I'm glad that it's been useful for you. I'll have a lot more content like that coming out soon, including stuff like more character archetypes, which people really enjoy those videos, and I think they're really useful. And I think if you're looking at anime, you have so many different kinds of characters that fit into those character archetypes. Like the standard way that you can look at manga and anime is the characters are an archetype, but with variations. And that's one of the best ways to make a character. You start with something like, the everyman, but you give him something that identifies him as unique. Like he's a clean freak. He's basically he's not particularly excellent at anything or bad at anything, but he really cares about being clean. And so that creates something that's an opportunity for tension with other characters, and also for other characters to, just to make him feel unique. And you could do that, just go down the line. This character is a shrew, or in Japanese stuff, it's the tsundere. This character is a shrew, but she's also like this. And then you have a character that feels really unique. So you start with the archetype as a base, and then you add in a few unique features. And one of the things I like about the Japanese approach is they're very quick to define the characters. That's the first thing they do. Before they really get into plot conflict, they do tend to do that pretty quickly as well. Before they start to get into the overall conflict or the plot, they start with identifying the characters. So I think that's really important to making a story have longevity and to have people be excited over it over the long term. Is if the characters are likable, people are going to stick with the series. That's just how it is. It's all about the characters. and how much people like those. So I do appreciate the super chat. Yeah, you get the check mark when you have 100,000 subscribers. Yeah. I don't know if it's automatic. Maybe you do have to ask for it. Yeah, but I'm going to do all fantasy. I'm going to do fantasy music for February. I'm really looking forward to getting back into the studio and doing stuff. I helped my brother-in-law set up his studio a little bit the other day and get his software going so he can do a lot of composition and things like that. It's like he finally came around and bought like the studio version of Ableton, which is what I use to do a lot of my recording. And it's like, oh yeah, you can do all these things. Like, man, it's all there. It's so easy. So I'm looking forward to that. Anyway, before we begin the game, let's let me find it here. Nope. Here we go. All right. Let's look at the manual. So I grabbed the manual for this. So when you're playing an NES game, you have to look at the manual before you play the game. And I remember this cover art so vividly that it just, you looked at it and you're like, man, I really want to play this game. But when you look at it, the game's nothing like this. It's just some cool fantasy art from the 80s. Yeah, I like Dragon Quest a lot. I mean, that was a debate. Was like, man, I could do all the Dragon Quest games. Like, start with Dragon Warrior and then do all the updates. I'd have to do a bunch of them. No, that's not true. I have them. I have like all of them on the 3DS. I think my 3DS has every Dragon Quest game up to 10. Right, because like 10 was an MMO. You can actually play 10 in the West on your PlayStation, on your PS4. You just have to figure out a way to pay for it in yen. So you have to buy like a PlayStation Store card that is yen, and then you have to have like a Japanese PS Store account, and then you can play Dragon Quest X. But it's in Japanese though, so you're gonna have to learn to either read Japanese or figure out what spells are where. But you could totally play the game without really having to do a lot of interaction with other people. So yeah, 1 through 9, I think I have all of them on my 3DS, which is pretty cool. So it's like one device has like every Dragon Quest game that you want to play. And my son, yeah, 10 needs a translation. My son really likes Dragon Quest 8. He likes to play that one. So he'll always grab that 3DS and pop that one open. He'll like sing the songs and stuff. He really likes it. And that one's a really good version of Dragon Quest 8. It has like voiceovers and stuff, which are really fun. So anyway, here's the manual. So you used to get these thick manuals, and I lost almost all of mine over time. But it goes through stuff, and if you look at this manual, it's 80 pages, so it's actually pretty thick. And it's got explanations for how to play the game. So if you were just to download Final Fantasy and jump into it, you'd think, man, they just really like don't hold your hand with these old games. It's like they did hold your hand, but it was in the manual. And they actually did the same thing with the original NES Zeldas. They had a map. It wasn't a complete map, but it had a big portion of the map revealed to you, including where the first 4 dungeons were. So you could find your way around until you got a hang of the game. And then they kind of let you go on your own. Yeah, 8 is a lot of people's first ones. 8's a really good one. I'm not crazy about any of the mobile ports for Final Fantasy. I have a couple of them. There's always just something a little bit like wonky about them. The Final Fantasy 9 one's actually pretty darn good, but I'm going to play Final Fantasy 9 on the PC. So my plan is this one on NES. I'll do maybe the Game Boy Advance version of number 2 because that's a localization, or the PSP version. And number 3, I think I was going to do the DS version because it's just something different. Number 4, it's a big debate because there's so many different versions. The US version is considered not a very good translation, and it's also easy mode. So you could play the one it's very influential though, so I don't know. You could play the SNES version, which has easy mode. Number 5, I think I was going to do the PC version. Number 6, SNES. You have to do the SNES version. It just doesn't look right. If you do the newer PC version, they don't have Mode 7 scaling and stuff. You got to do the SNES version. And then 7, probably, I don't know. I could do the original PlayStation version for 7. And like bring in my PS3 and like play it in here. 8, I have the remastered version of 8 on the PC. So we'll try that one out just for something different. And then 9, it's the PC version plus the Mogiri mod, which has an AI upscaling of all the backgrounds. This game looks incredible when you actually have this set up. Like, the characters are sharp, everything just looks good. It's like a sharper realization of what you saw in your CRT back in when did it come out? 2000 or 1999. So it's really good. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to doing Final Fantasy 9 with that like high detailed playthrough, and it's gonna look really good. And I love the music from Final Fantasy 9 as well. Final Fantasy 10, I have the remastered version, but some people said you should play the PS2 version just because the facial animations are different. They had to redo all the characters, I guess, because of lost files. So I'm not sure which one I'll do for that one. Final Fantasy 11, I could just play through part of it on the PC, but I think I might skip that one because it's an MMO. Final Fantasy 12, could do the PS2 version, which is actually has less mechanics to it, but the Zodiac Age, the remastered version, looks really good, and you can do all your different weird class combinations, which is kind of a fun system to play with. It's not Final Fantasy 12 is actually one of my favorite Final Fantasy games, but it's not one that a lot of people were super into when it came out, because it had that gambit system, had a thing where you're programming your characters to do certain actions, and people were used to doing all this menuing that came from Final Fantasy X, and they're like, why am I not doing all this menuing? It's like, well, we automated the stuff that you were just spamming, so now you can explore freely and think about other things and pause the game to do different, I really like the system for it. Anyway. The servers for 11 are still up, I think. I think you could still play Final Fantasy 11. They think they sell it on Steam. I can double check. It was a very popular game for a long time. And honestly, pretty good MMO as far as these things go. Okay. How to begin your Final Fantasy adventure. Insert your Final Fantasy game pack into your NES as described in your NES control deck manual. Turn the power on, and you're ready to embark on your journey. I've just reminded they used funny words for stuff for the NES back in the day. They used like game pack instead of cartridge. And they used control deck instead of like console. And that might have to do with the fact that the NES was originally not marketed as a game console, but as something else because of the video game crash. Select new game or continue. It does either one. Use the control pad to select this. Okay, so it tells you all this stuff. Respond rate on the continue new game screen. You can change the respond rate by using left and right. A rate of 1 will result in slow message speed. A rate of 8 is very fast. So we're going to try to turn that up to make it faster, because this one can be kind of slow. How to save. Important. Your Final Fantasy game pack is equipped with a battery that allows you to save your game in order to continue at a later time. It is a good idea to save your game often. The easiest way to save is to stay at an inn. You can also save by using a house, cabin, or tent. These will be explained later. Always hold down the reset button when turning the power off. This was a bug in the original NES version of Legend of Zelda. You had to hold down the reset and turn the power off. Otherwise, you could lose your save game because of some kind of flaw in their design. So they have character types. For instance, the fighters are good at using weapons, but a magician may have trouble with some weapons. Enter the names. Sample the game with the default party. They tell you to just press A a bunch of times. Just press A repeatedly and go sample the game, and then come back later and make a new party. Your adventure begins, and this is great. They give you a map. Like, here's a map of the world, and here's where you begin. And so you're going to end up exploring all of this. Right, and that's pretty cool because it gives you a big idea of the scope here. You're at Castle Corneria. It tells you the first thing to do is to enter the castle, because when you start the game, you're just like, you're just walking around nowhere, basically. You're just dropped in at the front of the game. You're like, what do I do now? So if you didn't have this manual, you might not have an idea. Castle Corneria, first floor. It tells you where stuff is. A door. It tells you it's locked. Here's another door. Jane the Queen, you can talk to her. A scholar, a guard, exit. Gain information, talk to everyone. Yes, no. You have to face them in order to talk to them, is what they're telling you. Use the door. Enter the closed rooms. Do not worry, though. Many of those can be opened to reveal what is hidden inside. If a door does not open, push A to investigate the trouble. Open locked doors. To open the lock, some of these doors were locked long ago to keep out unauthorized personnel and inexperienced light warriors. Luckily for you, those that locked the door left the key. Unfortunately, the key was sent to a distant city. What a weird explanation. 400 years ago, the treasury was locked by the mystic key. Our ancestors gave the key to the Prince of Elfland for safekeeping. Climb to the second floor. Talk to the king. It's basically giving you like a little walkthrough of what to do at the beginning. Return to the first floor. Notebook. The princess needs to be rescued. Garland has kidnapped the princess and hides to the northwest in the Temple of Fiends. The treasury is locked and the elf prince holds the key. All right. See, I love that, that they actually do this for you. Outfit for your trek in Corneria. So they do let you know that you have to go buy some stuff. Although what you see looks different villages before you, it doesn't matter which you enter. They're all the same. So you can go left or right. It tells you what sells what. Potion shops, blah, blah, blah. Buy weapons. It tells you to buy weapons. Purchase your implements of destruction. Some items will be available only at only one particular shop. Weapons shop. Make as many purchases as you wish. Sell surplus weapons. It tells you what character can wear. So a fighter can buy a rapier and wear a chain armor. Thief can do this. Black belt can do this. That's the next thing we have to decide is what kind of classes we want to run. And this is something that I like about the original game. It tells you how to use magic. More spells will be available. You have charges of magic rather than mana. So like if you use both your charges of white magic, you have to go rest at an inn or level up to use them some more. There you go. Can learn 3 spells for each level. Heal, pure potion, tell you all this. Inns, very important. Place to revive the dead. Okay, then they give you another map. They tell you where you start and here's your destination. So they're basically giving you a lot to go on in the manual here. They tell you exactly how to do it. The tutorial's really in the manual. So you're really supposed to do this with having the manual out. Good example 1. Plan your battle wisely. Bad example 1. Look at everybody's dead. When to run. All this kind of stuff. This is fun. Yeah, Elfland. Elfland is when the game actually starts to get kind of hard. It starts to get challenging. All right, let's go ahead and play. Let's open up RetroArch and play this bad boy. You can go down to NES. Final Fantasy. Run. All right. The world is veiled in darkness. The wind stops. The sea is wild. And the earth begins to rot. The people wait. Their only hope, a prophecy. When the world is in darkness, 4 warriors will come. After a long journey, 4 young warriors arrive, each holding an orb. If you play, say, the PSP version, there's like a little animation there where they like hold their thing up. Hi. All right. So what are we going to name these guys and what classes do we want to do? I saw some people want to do like 2 fighters. I thought the world record one was like 2 fighters and 2 black mages. Yeah, it's super D&D feeling because D&D really created a lot of the thought about how adventures were supposed to be. You know, if we look at this, it's very much like what a D&D manual would be if you bought like an adventure in the 80s, so like 2nd edition D&D. You'd have a lot of stuff like this. It tells you to cross the North Bridge, how to organize your adventure party. The Cave of Matoya tells you like what you need to do here. So basically, your walkthrough really is in the manual. That's pretty cool, actually, when you think about it. So you get the first half of the game in the manual. Pretty cool. All right. All right, what are we naming the fighter? I can't name it Herbert because I only have 4 characters. So we can name him Bert. Bert. Bert it is. Bert the warrior. Alright, now for the second one, let's do 2 warriors? 2 fighters. 2 fighters. Yeah, some of these are harder than others. Big Al is the next one. Wait. I count already named one. Let's do... Sam Hyde. I can't do that. Bob. Let's do Bob. Bob and Bert. Bert and Bob. The thing about going like 4 warriors is there's only so many really good weapons at the end of the game, and you're going to have to split them up a little bit. Alright, so next one we could do Red Mage, or like Black Mage, or White Mage. Not sure what we should do. I like 2 fighters just because it's just something different other than like the standard party. Honestly, thieves are not that good even when they become ninjas. A fighter is just better, so it's better to have fighter, I think. I haven't played the NES version in a really long time though, and in the NES version, black mages are really weak. So it's almost good to do like a red mage, you know. 4 black mages for diversity. All right. Black mage named Odin. We'll do a black mage. Just for diversity. Odin. And we'll do a white mage. Or should we do red mage? Well, the thing is, it's better to do red mage, white mage, or we could do 2 red mages. You could do 2 red mages. All right, let's do red mage. We'll name him Odin. I think Odin would be a red mage. We'll do red mage and white mage. That's a lot of physical damage. What's the white mage? Yes. Someone, Larry the white mage. All right, Larry. Larry. I always thought the white mage was a girl. Every time I played this, I was like, the white mage is the girl character. See, it just drops you here. So the first thing you have to do is go talk to the king. You don't actually have to do this, by the way. You can go straight to the cave if you want. If you're like doing a speed run or something. You know, you can just skip the castle completely and just not go to the king. I don't think there's any treasure here, so I don't know why I'm going back around this way. Does this go out the other side? No, it just leaves me out. You talk to a guard. Talk to everyone. The Warriors of Light. You really don't have to talk to everyone, so you know. Talk to him. He'll tell you Light Warriors, just as in Lorcan's prophecy, or Lucan's prophecy. Garland has kidnapped the princess. Please help her. Pretty standard quest. Gotta save a princess. I think there might be like 1 treasure chest in here. I don't remember though. But you can explore around, and when I was a kid, it was really fun. You go and talk to all these guys. Reports say that Garland holds the princess in a temple to the northwest, and so this is where you would gather most of your information. Even though the manual basically has a, you know, little walkthrough at the beginning here to kind of get you going. I guess for a lot of beginning players, they'd never, like, not only had they never played a game like this, because the only other game that was like this was Dragon Warrior, but games like this didn't really exist yet. Oh, my sister. There was no, like, fantasy tropes in existence. I'm afraid it might be a little bit loud. Oh, nope. There we go. Early days. I put like an echo on the... So I put an echo on the music because it just... somehow that reminds me of like sitting in the dark in front of a TV. Please save my daughter Sarah. Like the sound echoing in the room because you're alone. How do I get to those rooms? So here. Yeah, the game Dragon Quest was the first one. So yeah, I borrowed a lot from Dragon Quest. The original Dragon Warrior, you were just one guy though, and it was actually very simple. If you ever play the original Dragon Warrior, it's fun. It's fun to go back and play it. I think it's so primitive though that a lot of people would be like, "What? Why am I doing this?" Oh, here's a sage. I'll go talk to that guy. He might tell us something. 400 years ago, the treasury was locked. Look at that G. The G on the A is very funny. It's like looks like an 8 with like a little cowlick. It was locked by the mystic key. Our ancestors gave the key to the Prince of Elfland for safekeeping. This door is locked by the mystic key. It tells you the same thing. So there you go. These doors are locked. If you play the original Dragon Warrior, basically you're one guy and you can like cast magic or attack. It's like Skyrim Super Special Edition for Alexa. So if you ever go back and play that, it's rather funny. I'm gonna save the game here. Can I save the game? Or say to save your data. Hold reset to press power. Dragon Quest 1 can be beaten in like 7 hours in the remakes. The original one can be beaten pretty quick too, if I remember correctly. I'm gonna buy some chain. Give it to Bert. Let me check my manual to see what can red mages wear. It'll tell you. Yeah, here you go. Red mage. He can wear all the same stuff as the warrior. So we're gonna go broke buying armor here. Let's buy some swords. Have to equip it. Oh, armor. Equip it. These guys don't have weapons yet. So you don't start with any weapons. You start with gold and you can buy the weapons. Give it to Larry. Oops. Buy a rapier for Bert. Buy a rapier for Bob. Buy a rapier for Odin. Alright. And here's the thing, you have to go and you have to equip them. Alright. Weapons are cheap at the beginning here. Armor's not. So yeah, this basically, I think the 4-party thing actually started with Dragon Quest 2 or 3. I think Dragon Quest 2. Where you had, or Dragon Warrior 2, if you were playing it on the original Western NES. And so this got that from that. Let's give it to Bob. Alright. Give that to Odin. We'll equip that and we'll go grind a little bit. Alright, now we have some stuff. We haven't bought any magic, but I don't want to... Magic's like 100 gold a piece, so... I am Aurelian the Dancer. They get more than 4 characters to name theirs. Dragon Quest 3. 2 and 3 had party members. 3 and 4 had party members with classes. There you go. Yeah, so it was basically from that. The first one was Dragon Quest. Now, Dragon Quest 3 oddly came out for the NES and the SNES. So there's the SNES version has like more colors. So you could play it on either like either platform. Kind of weird, but it works. Here we go. Killing these little imps. If you're wondering about the filter I'm using, it's a phosphor filter. And it just really reminds me of looking at my little 13-inch TV. It just does. Final Fantasy II is the black sheep of the family. Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to playing it because I've actually not played Final Fantasy II. Then 4 did the thing where the classes became individual characters and focused more on their stories. Yeah. The SNES version. Yeah, the SNES version's really pretty good. It's not weird. The SNES one is a remake that came out years after the NES one with a bunch of changes and extra content like bonus bosses and extra classes. Well, I just don't remember them doing that a lot. Like taking an NES game and putting it on the SNES. But it looks great. It looks great on the SNES. It has more colors, just looks better in general. What a lot of people don't realize is that the NES and the SNES have the same resolution. I think 240 pixel, 240 by 240. I don't remember. It's 240 pixels, and so what you get with the SNES is more colors, and with more colors actually lets you put in more details because if you can have more colors on screen, you can actually do a lot more fidelity. Because you notice like their hair, it's all one color, like it's all red, 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 and white. You have to be able to make these little sprites with limited colors. There's just red and white and peach. These are 3 colors. This is like 1, 2, 3 colors. Again, 3 colors. It's very challenging to do that with 3 colors. But if you have 100 colors, you can make much better looking sprites. These trees are 2 colors, green and black, with a blue sky. And then this color is the same as this one, I think. So there's very few colors on screen, which is kind of cool. You gotta play the SNES Dragon Quest 3. I haven't played it. Maybe I'll play it. Well, I have the one, I think I have the NES one on my 3DS. Which is weird. It says Dragon Quest on it, but I remember it being Dragon Warrior. I don't know why they changed it to Dragon Warrior in the West. Maybe they thought it would sell better or something. I'm going to try to see if I can get up to level 2 here real quick before we go do the cave. Oh, they surprised me. Best version? I'll check it out then. Finally found your stream. I love Riders Podcast. Thanks. The Riders of the Dawn podcast, people are still finding me and Matt from that. I'm going to see if I can collaborate with Matt on February to do some music. A lot of people don't realize that we're musicians. That's how we met. We were both music students in college. It's how I met my wife, as she was a music student with me in college. And then Matt's my brother-in-law, and he married my wife's sister. After my wife introduced him. So it's pretty cool if you can make your best friend your family. That's a pretty cool situation. I highly recommend it. So. They couldn't call it Dragon Quest because there was a trademark for a board game in the 80s, so they had to change the name to Warrior until the trademark ended. Thank you, I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know that until they figured it out. I mean, it's a different product. They probably could have won in court. Trademark law is just so messy, though. Same thing with copyright law. Like, I'd hate to take anything like that to court. I love how creative game designers had to be with these old games, which is why the music, despite being in MIDI, is so amazing. Yeah, and these designs really held up. They haven't changed that much. Like, and think about, you know, this thing is 20 by 30 pixels, maybe, at the most, for, like, these little sprites. But think about how you communicate with lack of detail exactly what you see. As you have to make kind of sacrifices, you have to look at what's important. Notice, like, the warrior is angry because he's got this eyebrow, but this eyebrow is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 pixels, and then 2 pixels for the eye. You just have to learn to be super efficient, or 4 pixels for the eye. You have to be super efficient with your character designs to communicate what's there. It's actually pretty cool to think about how good 8-bit art actually was because of the limitations. It makes me think about other things, like if you put limitations on your art, a lot of times you can come up with more creative outcomes. It's an interesting thing to think about. And I've done it with composition stuff too. It's like, if you compose this with like a pentatonic scale only, well, that limits what you can do, but you have to maximize your creative potential in the other areas, which can make you think of new ideas. Here we go, level 2. All right, level 2. We're ready to go kill what's his name? Garland. And another thing about music, same thing, is you only have four waves that can happen at one time on the NES. There's a triangle, square, I think a sine wave, and then like a noise generator. So you have to make all the music with those 4 voices. That's all you get. So by limiting it down, you really have to make the melody work. But at the same time, you can also make it so it doesn't have to be playable by a human. Go look up on YouTube people trying to play like Super Mario theme on guitar. It's impossible. It's super difficult on piano because Koji Kondo? He didn't compose it for human hands. He composed it for basically the computer to play it. Alright, I'm also going to do this. Create a save state, just in case. Just in case something doesn't work. Let's go get some magic. I think we have some gold now. Larry will learn the spell. Cure, Harm, Fog, Ruse. Notice they only had 4 characters to work with. Yeah, it's super difficult to play. It's not made for human hands. And you had a lot of things with it where you could just have things arpeggiate up and down constantly because of the AM chip that was in the NES. You really created some very unique music because of the capabilities of the synthesis chip on the NES. The NES had, rather than using MIDI and stuff, had actual like analog synthesis. Pretty cool. A 4-voice FM synthesizer. We'll do Cure. Yeah, see, magic's expensive. Odin. This is lightning, I think. This is sleep. We'll do fire. There we go. The greatest Final Fantasy. Dragon Quest will be Dragon Quest in the US forever now. It's good because it eliminates some of the confusion. But I do like that Dragon Quest keeps the traditional, the traditional turn-based play. Whoops. I know people want Final Fantasy to go back to turn-based play, and I think it could, but I don't think they'll do it. I think they'll keep trying to think of new ways to do it. Because there's so many other games that you could play that have the turn-based battles. You could, by Square too. I mean, you could play Bravely Default and games like that. through the swamp. Dragon Quest didn't sell out like other RPG series did. It's still a medieval fantasy adventure. Yeah. I like that Final Fantasy 16 is going back towards the medieval, because I found the older worlds of these games more appealing, I think, than the sci-fi settings. I don't really have anything against Final Fantasy 7, for instance, and its weird diesel punk aesthetic, but it just, you know, I kind of miss the fantasy stuff, you know, the medieval fantasy. I write medieval fantasy, so I like medieval fantasy. Here we go. Temple of Fiends. Have you played Dragon Quest XI? I have. I think it's great. I had a great time playing Dragon Quest XI. Super fun game. My son really liked to play it with me too. He loved that all the creatures were kind of weird and, you know, like the cute little blobs that bounce, the kissy plants that want to lick you, and there's one that has like I think it was called Lips, and it licks you, and then your character is like trembling because they're grossed out. And I just love that the game is full of stuff like that. Also, Puff Puff. Have you played Final Fantasy X? Yes, I like Final Fantasy X. It's not my favorite Final Fantasy because it's just not my favorite story, and I don't love the English voice acting, but it was one of the first voice acted games. Found a cat. Sweet. Item. Nope. Armor. There we go. Remember if there's more treasure here. If you go straight forward, you go to the boss, but there's some treasure that you can get. Final Fantasy X is cool, but massively overrated. Yeah, I think it was one of those things where any game that comes out for like a new console gets remembered very fondly by people who bought that console at near release. The PS2 released basically with Final Fantasy X. So I think a lot of people that maybe grew up with the PlayStation 2, they remember it so fondly because it was one of the first games they played, maybe one of the first RPGs they played. It was so new and cool on the PlayStation 2. The graphics were like mind-blowing at the time. The music was too. The fully voice-acted story. This was all like new stuff that people loved about the game. And so people remember it really, really fondly. Same thing with Final Fantasy VII, by the way. People remember Final Fantasy VII so fondly because it was a lot of people's very first RPGs. And I think Final Fantasy VII is a really good game, but it's also overrated for the same reason. If there's more treasure. Yeah, there's another treasure room here. Found heal. Cabin. I think that heals you and lets you save your game. No black mages. They're actually in the NES version. The black mages are like bugged, and they never get defense. I don't remember if you can heal the skeletons to death or not. I don't think I want to waste it. I have level 2 cure. We'll try it on... Oh, I can't do it on the skeletons in this game. Oh, well, they die immediately, don't they? Thought they were a little stronger. Final Fantasy VII is better than 10 in my opinion. It's a great game, but it's also overrated compared to 4 and 6, which I feel have better storylines. Yeah, I think I have more fondness for 4 and 6 as well. The games I haven't played yet that I'll be playing as part of the series, I think, is 2. Have I played 3? No, I've played 3 before. But I never beat 3. 2, 5. 2 and 5 are the ones that I haven't played, along with the MMOs. In any capacity. So I never beat 3 because I borrowed it from a friend. And gave it back to him, obviously. So, be looking forward to that. Pikmin 2, Wind Waker, and Lord of the Rings 2 Towers for the GameCube were awesome games. I really like the Pikmin games. Pikmin 3, I don't know if they came out with it already or it's coming out. I have it on the Wii U and it's a really fun game. But I remember I was playing it with my son when he was really little, and like, if you don't get all your Pikmin to your spaceship in time, the little creatures come out and eat him. And like, so the spaceship's taking off and the creatures want to get in, and the Pikmin want to get in. And he's like, they want to come too! And the monsters came and ate him, and my son cried. And I was just like, okay, no more of this game here. David, Final Fantasy III is absurd. In both the NES and DS versions, the difficulty literally ramps up to near impossible in the final dungeon. Oh, I'm looking forward to it. Difficulty is around a 4, and then it jerks up to 10 in the final dungeon. I've heard that you have to be leveling up your jobs all the time, or you're just going to be sunk in that game. Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger, Sin Similar, both awesome. 2 of the best 2D RPGs for sure. I remember when Dragon Warrior 1 came out, we got it and went to a friend's house to play, and after all my friends went to sleep, I played it all night until I could clear the dungeon without a torch. Ouch, these wolves. 1 damage. 40 damage, wow. A really challenging party you can do in this game is 4 black belts, or 4 monks, depending on which version. You just run through fighting everything, and they die, and you just don't worry about it. And at the end of the game, they hit everything like 8 times in a row without weapons, so you never have to worry about getting weapons or anything like that. Thought about something weird like that for this playthrough, but we'll go with something a little more traditional. Something we can kind of bash our way through. Yeah, you gotta grind. I love Final Fantasy as a series precisely because so many people love different games. There's no common consensus. Yeah, for story difficulty, etc. Yeah, each one's different. Cure is paramount and at least 1 damaging spell. Fire is better. Lightning is good for water monsters. The door is locked by the Mystic Key, so we gotta come back once we get the Mystic Key. Okay. 4 white mages is the hardest. Oh yeah, undoubtedly. It's not even really fun. I don't know why you do that. I don't know why you subject yourself to that. Spider. Alright, so spiders die pretty easy. And in this version of the game, you swing through air if your target dies before you attack. And someone's like mentioned that, you know, in later versions of the game, they fixed that. But it's just a mechanic that exists in this version of the game. And I wanted to play the original version that kind of set it off, you know. Just things as they were, including the warts. Like weird little systems that didn't make a lot of sense. Alright, that one's locked. I've done 4 monks. There are a few hard parts, but by the end, you just pwn everything. I've heard that too. That it's really bad at low levels, but once you get a few levels under your belt, it's really, like, incredibly good. And you never have to worry about... You can just go straight to the boss in every dungeon because you don't need any items. You're like, at your best, just naked, empty fist. Alright, have a good one, Geekdom. Yeah, 4 white mages would just be masochistic. And it would be bad on multiple levels, because not only can you not do any damage... Oh, here he is, with a bunch of bats. No one touches my princess. Light warriors, you impertinent fools. I, Garland, will knock you all down. I think in the Japanese one he says, I will kill you, instead of I will knock you down. But you couldn't say things like that because of Nintendo's weird censorship. $28 damage. There we go. 22 damage. Let's do some fire on him. Yeah, well, it's not just that they don't do enough damage, but you run out of healing spells, you know? Oh, that was easy. Like, you have to constantly heal yourself because you're getting wrecked all the time. You just run out of your healing spells before you can kill anything. All right, we leveled up. Odin leveled up. Larry leveled up. Kiki! You can talk to the bats. Kiki! Kiki. So, you are the Light Warriors. Thank you. Oh, here we are. Thank you for saving the princess. To aid your quest, I ordered a bridge built to the continent. Go now and make the orbs shine again. This loot has been passed down from queen to princess for 2,000 years. Garland stole it when he kidnapped me. Please accept it as my gift, and it just might come in handy. Thanks. Sorry if I missed it, David, but did you do anything on Cyberpunk 2077? What did you think? I didn't play it. I didn't buy it. I wouldn't even know it existed if people had not been... I mean, I know it would exist now because I can't avoid seeing it. I wouldn't have known about it like 6 months ago had you guys not been telling me about it because I just don't... I didn't keep up on anything CD Projekt Red was doing. I'm not surprised that people are... It seems like the PlayStation version was a huge shit show. And it's like, why not just release it for the new consoles? It's like, well, because there's already a big installed user base in the PS4. I get it. But if the game's not going to look good on the PS4, you probably shouldn't market it to the PS4. I probably should have stayed at the end to save the game. Here we go. This is fast forward on. A little fast forward button. Barely fast forwards it. I'm gonna have to think of a better fast forward, like maybe 8 speed or something, or 10 speed. Yes. CDPR had an agreement to release it this year. Oh, the game has a disclaimer on the Xbox stores. Yeah, it got taken off the PlayStation store. Oh, Japan. Okay, the Japanese poll on the best Final Fantasy games. Number one was Final Fantasy X. 2, Final Fantasy VII. 3, Final Fantasy VI. 4, Final Fantasy IV. I think all 4 of those are really good. I miss... Final Fantasy IX, I think, is really good. And so their journey begins. How do we take a screenshot? Here we go. Take a screenshot. What awaits the 4? They do not know. And this theme was used as the intro theme for Final Fantasy XII, too. Each holding an orb. Come, start your journey. Return the lighted piece to our world. Yeah. Bum ba do bum bum ba bum ba 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 bum bum. And just enjoy the credits for a minute. Let's turn up the volume a little bit. They can't do that. That would be an ethical business practice, and that would make them less money. You know, I felt like CD Projekt Red had a lot of gamer goodwill built into this. I remember playing the original Witcher game, and I'm like, this game, like, a lot of the graphics suck, but you could tell it was made by love by a few people, made like with very much love and care. Final Fantasy 15 worth playing. I don't love Final Fantasy 15, but I will play it. It probably is worth playing. I think it probably just depends on who. It's like on what you want. Where's our? The next one is the little ship town, wherever that is. This thing about 15 was the kinship with the bros. The story and open world and the combat left a lot to be desired. The other Final Fantasies are overall better. Yeah, I mostly didn't like the aesthetics. It was so weird. Like, it starts you off in Baker, California, you know? If you've ever been to Baker, California, that's where the game starts. It was like the devs were, like, driving from LA to Vegas, and they stopped at a town. They're like, let's make a game that starts here. It's not in the middle of the desert where there's one garage. See, I might have to check the manual here. You gotta check. Okay, where do we go next? Okay, your destination. Let's look through the walkthrough in the manual before visiting Garland. Battle techniques. Run is a strategy. Rescue the princess. Okay, we did that. This is great. The princess is free. A royal reward. Talk, talk, talk. Keep talking till their conversation no longer changes. Where's the map? Up there, okay. No, that's the cave. I want to go to the... Where's the little town? I guess it's over there somewhere. I'll go find it. Do you like Assassin's Creed games? I haven't played one in years. Literally years, so I don't know. See how if we can kill these unicorns. Mad Pony. They're called Mad Ponies. Witcher 3 is really, really good. I've played it on stream before, but I don't love it. You know, I don't love the gameplay of Witcher 2 or 3. Witcher 2 it's okay. I definitely enjoyed it when I played it. You know, but I don't love the gameplay of Witcher 3. Final Fantasy veered way too far into the cyberpunk aesthetic to where it isn't really fantasy anymore. Final Fantasy VIII is just a modern setting. Well, keep in mind, cyberpunk is a subset of fantasy, because sci-fi is a subgenre of fantasy. Mad Pony! Fight, fight. The camping scenes in 15 were great. I just beat the new Pokemon game and it wasn't bad, but it was way too easy. My team was 10 levels higher than all the bosses. Been playing a lot of Cyberpunk 2077 max level and cleared out the whole map. Now the open world feels dead with not much to do. I mean, I could see that in Skyrim if you clear out all the content, you know? It's like, oh, well, there's nothing to do except wander around and kill werewolves. Final Fantasy 15 is way better than some people give it credit for. The resting mechanic that basically gives you a recap of what you did, the game session, etc. was really nice. The story was mad until the DLC. Interesting. I'm going to play it, and I'll give you my full opinion. Let's see how we do with these doggies. I think CDPR made a mistake adding Keanu Reeves. They likely had to redo most of the game to make the game and story revolve around him. It was an RPG, but it changed to action-adventure. I can see that. Ba-ba-ba-bum. Bum ba bum ba bum ba bum. There was a definite tonal shift from 6 onwards. You're correct. I agree. I think 6 really started it though. 6 had like some of that stuff too. Final Fantasy 9 I love because it's crazy, it mixes everything. It's got airships, it's got, you know, crawling bugs taking you through underground passageways from, you know, city to city. This is great. Witcher 3 side quests are awesome. Just like hunting a monster, figuring out what it is, how to fight it correctly, then looking for it. I think it's probably a pretty fun game. It's not like my favorite gameplay, I guess. Maybe I'm just not good at it yet. CP2077 feels like an alpha. Only content is questing with broken AI and bugs. It gives a bigger question about polish. Like, I'm kind of used to games not being very polished because of when I grew up. So, I don't know. I think now people have really high standards for how polished a game should be. Do a level 2 fire. Nothing. I don't have a level 2 fire. Need to buy more spells at the next town. Da 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 da. Problems with CD Projekt Cyberpunk 2077 go way beyond story. I think Keanu did a decent enough job as a Silverhand. I mean, it aesthetically looks really cool. I was kind of afraid with Witcher 2 because Witcher 2 was so high fidelity at the time and so pretty. Help! Nothing here. Help. Okay. That was what it was going to be. It's like, we're going to make a... This town has been invaded by pirates. Okay. That they were going to, from then on, make their... You know, really make their games about high fidelity and not gameplay. Because the first Witcher game basically doesn't look very good. You know? It looks pretty bad. Okay, I'm looking for the pirates. Where are they? Then he gives you, once you beat the pirates, he gives you the ship. I am Bicky the pirate, and surprised I am that you scurvy dogs have the nerve to face me. Mate, get those landlubbers. Okay. Gotta kill some pirates. Oh, well, these guys are gonna get one shot. Okay. Would love for you to make a review video on Final Fantasy VII. I probably will. So my plan is to play through these on stream as much as possible, and then to... I realize, like, there's a DVS press, like, right by my head on the stream. It's gotta be weird to see if... Look at my little preview here. Yeah, my goal is to play through these and then do... like a little video on each one about what's there. Notice, like with this one, there's really not much story. You know, there's a mild story, but it's mostly like about like the gameplay, like exploring and making your characters better and stuff like that. CDPR is not about gameplay, but narrative and eye candy. Kind of is now. The original Witcher was really about, like, taking different RPG paths. That's why people liked it as a RPG. Okay, you got me! Take my ship! All right. Is there anything in this building? Nothing here. Okay. The elves live across the sea. Matoya's herb is the only thing that will help their prince. Okay, so I have to get the herb from the cave. Thank you. We don't need to be afraid of pirates anymore. Okay, you gotta move for me to get out of this building. Alright, let's buy some new stuff. Let's see here. Heal, pure, tent. Buy a tent, because we may need that. Alright. We have a lot of gold, so let's go ahead and buy some more armor. Chain, iron. Wooden shield, gloves. Okay. That is expensive. Alright, we'll buy one. One iron. Give it to Bert. Expensive. We'll get a wooden shield. Give it to Bob. And we'll buy some gloves. And I think we'll give these to Odin. Alright. Now I'm out of gold. Let's see what we can equip. Alright. I realized I should have bought weapons first. Oh well. I bought 3 copies of Cyberpunk 2077, including a collector's edition. You have the most right to complain of anyone on Earth. There are games that I bought 3 different times in my life, but usually they were games that came out in like the 80s or something, and you end up, oh, I'll buy it on the DS to play it again. I'll buy it on the Game Boy Advance to play it again. I think I bought Super Mario 2 like 3 or 4 times. Ships can only stop only at ports. There are no ports in the north. Oh, this is the clinic. You do not need my help now. Yes, it's true. Stay at the inn. Weapons. Yeah, these are expensive. I need more gold. Dragon Ball Fighter Z, yeah. Saw they had that on sale. Oh, this is black magic. Odin. Dark. Slow. Ice. Eventually, we probably want to like buy all of them, but we just don't have any gold right now. We really don't need all of these just yet, so yeah. But can't afford that. Clearly. Should look at my account here. There are a few games I bought twice and only thrice. Neverwinter Nights. I have that too. The original Neverwinter Nights was pretty awesome. Alright, we're not going to use the ship for now, though. I'm going to go to the cave. I forgot to stay at the end. Save the state. What are your thoughts on Dan Simmons' books? Which one have I read? Oh yeah, he wrote Hyperion. I really like the Hyperion, the 3 Hyperion books. So I really enjoyed those, and I do recommend them as fantasy novels. can talk about them a little bit sometime. I think they're really good. I really enjoyed them. So those are the ones that I've read from him. They're good. So I recommend them if you're looking for something like that's on the level of Dune as far as its like quality. Then those are good. I feel like a lot of sci-fi now is just garbage. Put out by now the Big Four, formerly the Big Five, now the Big Four. But that one's pretty good. Go into the woods and kill some unicorns. Missed. 14 damage. Wow. Getting hit for like 2 damage. It's mad ponies. Darn mad ponies. Magic. Go. Killed that mad pony. Also got to learn about Battletech game before anyone else. Battletech's pretty... I like Battletech a lot. Definitely enjoy me some Battletech. There we go. Bye-bye, unicorn. Ineffective. I was hoping that if Cyberpunk 2077 did well, Squeenix might think about bringing back Deus Ex. I would like more Deus Ex stuff. I really like that first Deus Ex game. Yay, we leveled up. Yeah, let's go back and let's hit that in. Level up a little bit on the way back. Ooh. Double ogre. Don't die, Bert. Just read the Solomon Kane short stories. They were pretty fun. Yeah, I like Solomon Kane. There's that a series of collections that have been put out of Robert E. Howard stuff that I really recommend. Starting with Cole the Conqueror, or the Cole Exile of Atlantis. And I think that's probably my favorite illustrated one of those so far. It just really captures the feeling of Robert E. Howard's like forgotten age, the Hyborian age, whatever he called it. So I recommend all of those as well. So I like the Solomon Kane ones. I actually have that. I have that collection somewhere. The Savage Tales of Solomon Kane. Let's go back and we'll stay at the end. Here's my pirate ship. We're not going to use that just yet. Alright, here we go. Yes. It's rumored that Atlas's Project Re-Fantasy is close to being finished. Do you have any predictions on what that might be like? They keep saying it's going to reinvent the fantasy genre. I have no idea. But I like Atlas. You know, I like their games. So, it'll probably be pretty cool. Alright, should we buy a magic or a sword? Honestly, a sword is probably going to be better. Not sure who can use, I think, a short sword? Let's buy it. Give it to Bert. Bert has the... Sell this rapier. Equip. Weapon. Equip. There we go. Atlas is a mystery, wrapped in an enigma. Or whatever. Not all Robert E. Howard is public domain because of when he died. It has to do... It's complicated. Some of it's public domain, some of it's not. And you're actually going to have another problem with Robert E. Howard as well, in that there are trademarks associated with Robert E. Howard characters. So if you come out with Conan, for instance, you can get sued because there is a holding company that owns the word Conan the Barbarian and the character as a trademark, and license that trademark out to other companies. So they've captured permanently Conan the Barbarian, even though the stories themselves or some of the stories might be in the public domain. The character itself you can't use without getting sued. You can't at least call him Conan, and you can't title your book Conan without getting sued. Iguana! Does that look like an iguana to you? Looks like some kind of... I don't know what that is. Looks like a bug dragon. I have no black mage. I have a red mage. The red man. Iguana. Caught the stream. Same with Edgar Rice Burroughs' work, trademark capture. It's really stupid. It's something that I actually really hate. Like, people don't realize this. It's like, well, if Star Wars had been out of copyright by now, we could all make Star Wars movies. It's like, you really couldn't, because Disney would say Wookiee, for instance, is inseparable from our brand. And consumers recognize that we are the ones who make Wookiee stories. So you can't make those. Otherwise, you are infringing on our trademark. The other problem with it, too, and I could just play the other side, is that, you know, if you're a company and you spend a lot of money marketing, say, Star Wars, and then someone else makes a Star Wars movie, and consumers aren't aware that it's not your company making it, then you have a point that, like, that person is leeching off of your marketing and your effort to create a property known as Star Wars. That in essence, they are, you know, they're leeching off the value and not paying you for the privilege. It's like if you called your restaurant McDonald's, you get a bunch of free marketing for McDonald's. That's why you can't call your restaurant McDonald's. If you're going to call it McDonald's, you have to pay the McDonald's Corporation for the privilege of having the McDonald's restaurant. I was thinking, since the Boy Scouts changed their name to Scouts of America, could someone just start an organization called Boy Scouts? I don't know. Supposedly, you're not supposed to use trademark to end-run copyright. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what you're supposed to do. What matters is how the court handles it and how it gets hashed out in the courtroom. And, you know, the Constitution means what 5 unelected black wizards say it means. I mean, wizards in black, not black wizards. Yeah, they're black mages. The Supreme Court is a bunch of black mages. $70 damage. Weapons really make a difference early in this game. You go from like 30 damage to 70. Doesn't matter if the rules say you can or can't. Unless you could force that rule's enactment in court, they can do as they wish. That's exactly right. And who has the money to fight Disney? They have literally infinite money. They can leverage as much debt as they want. No one wants to take Disney to court. What is this? Push B select. A magic spell? Push B select. All right. Maybe you have to press it at him. Nope. Maybe it's, nope. Doesn't do anything. But if Star Wars was public domain, could it just be uploaded to YouTube? Yes, the Star Wars movie could. But you couldn't make your own Star Wars movie. Where is my crystal? I can't see anything without it. Who stole my crystal? Oh, can I open these chests? Let's find out. Oh, I can walk over the skulls. And the treasure box you found pure. You found heal. Heal. I'm trying to remember where I go now. Let's check my guide. Matoya. After you enter the door, I, Matoya, talk to her. Remember what she says. It is wise to write down anything that you think is important. What is push B select? The brooms hold a secret. Push B select. Go outside the cave. Push and hold the B button and press select. The overworld map appears. Amazing. You've solved one of the riddles embedded in Final Fantasy. Oh, it's outside. Let's try that out. Been a while, guys. The world map. That's it. This world is huge. Go to Provoca. Talk to the townspeople, save at the end. Defeat the pirate. Already did this. We have to go somewhere else to find the Castle of Elf. Alright, let's do it. Let's go back to our ship. But we'll level up on the way, so that's fine. I know a place where the Constitution doesn't mean squat. The Supreme Court. And it's really just, it means whatever they say it means. Lucas invented Star Wars because he couldn't get the Flash Gordon rights. Spielberg invented Indiana Jones because he couldn't get the James Bond rights. Sam Raimi invented Darkman because he couldn't get the rights to the Shadow. Interesting. Bring back Crystal. Steal other stuff. This game in 4K. I don't know if I can stream in 4K. Even if I had like a 4K setup, which I don't. Grey Wolf. America is run by black mages, more at 11. Red mage would be the most balanced mage, yeah. He doesn't have the top magic, but because he has both, like there's a lot of situations, especially later in the game, where it's really good to heal twice. You know, if you can heal twice in a round, if you can use 2 healing magics in a round, it's really helpful. I think we have to do 4 attacks on these still to kill him. Missed. Mad Pony. It still didn't kill the Mad Pony. Lots of characters and properties got invented due to either being unable to buy the rights to use another or to copy the success of another. Definitely to copy success, I think, as well. Oh yeah, warriors can be knights and get healing magic later too. Red mages become red wizards though, and red wizards are really good. Monsters perished. Out in the desert. I don't get the vehement hate some people have for Avatar. I think the story's fine. It works for what it's supposed to be. It's dances with Smurfs. Like, it's just very, it's very heavy-handed with all of its messaging. And that's the big complaint. It's got a very heavy-handed story. And it's exactly beat for beat, pretty much beat for beat, Dances with Wolves, you know? The A story is, at least. Yeah, it's just really cheesy. It's like, you know, they're sitting around singing Kumbaya to like this forest spirit, singing like We Are the World, you know. They're like literally interfaced with the planet. It's basically what I call the white man's golden age red man. Not just what I call it. I really stole that term from Bruce Thornton, a teacher of mine. Is that the white man views the Native American as some sort of golden age man who's like at peace with nature and at one with nature. And it's just not realistic because Native Americans are human beings and figured out their own ways to survive against the environment, just like every other culture that exists. And because they were less advanced technologically, the white man, especially in the 19th century, viewed him as some sort of golden age man, like from the Hesiod's golden age. Like, you know, closer to nature, more in tune with nature, yada, 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 yada. So, it's basically that, but they made them aliens instead of Indians. They made them culturally just like American Indians, you know. It's just really cheesy. Like, we've seen it a million times before. It just kind of represents an urban baby boomer's idea of what nature's supposed to be. If you ever went camping, or if you've ever had to kill something and eat it, you're not going to have the same perspective on nature. Like, go ask some rural African if, like, he thinks his life is really special because he has to kill and eat wildebeest. He'd be like, no, that's just what we do. It's like, you can just go to a supermarket and hand them paper and you get food. Where do I sign up? Because I'm over here having to kill wildebeests. Which do you think builds a better fictional universe? Flash Gordon, original 1930s comics, or Star Wars? Well, I'm actually going to go with Star Wars. I know that, you know, the Pulp Rev guys would be like, Flash Gordon. Flash Gordon's great. But Star Wars just has a lot more to it because there's been more people involved with it. You've had, you know, especially if you include all the games and the EU stuff, there's just a lot to... there's a lot to it. So he needs a little bit of healing here. Bob. Yeah. There's just a lot to Star Wars. They've taken in a lot of crazy cool directions, you know. And you know, Flash Gordon might paint with broad strokes, but Star Wars paints with broad and small strokes at the same time. My favorite movie is made by Cameron's ex-wife. Which ex-wife? Linda Hamilton? He was married to Linda Hamilton. And they got a divorce. I think she got $100 million in the divorce. James Cameron lives in a house that looks like a castle. I've seen it. Because it was across the street from another movie producer whose house I went to once. Pretty cool house. Stay at the end. All right. Alright. Loved the visuals. The characters were fine enough for the story. I really liked the background and everything too. It felt really lively and detailed. Lived in and detailed. I remember the bad guy was like the general character. It's like I kind of wanted him to just be the hero. And they had Giovanni Ribisi who was like, I'm here for the stockholders and the blah 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 stockholders. By some more level 1 magic. Yeah, the weakest part of Avatar, I think, is the story. Yeah, James Horner was a great composer. I loved his Star Trek music. Alright. I'm trying to remember what harm does. Like, it's not the best description. Alright, girl, get out of the way. Thank you. What time is it? I got 12 more minutes for the stream. I'll probably play some more tonight. Uh-oh. Sharks! It's the Sharknado! Lightning will... 32 damage. Sharks, man. These sharks are tough. There we go. Kill these sharks. Where am I? Over here, alright. There we go. Can't go on the river. Alright. Odd Eye. See what we do with Odd Eye. Oh, that died immediately. Little Hamilton sustained permanent hearing damage during a Terminator 2 scene where a shotgun is fired in an elevator. She became a compulsive smoker to cope with the tinnitus. What was your opinion on Final Fantasy VII Remake? I really liked it. I enjoyed the gameplay a lot, and I actually liked that the story was not the Final Fantasy VII story, because what's the point of that? So I think it was an interesting idea. I'll be interested to see where they go with it. Inception is sci-fi and the movie was great. I was pretty young when it came out, and me and a buddy of mine got stood up by twins and decided to see Inception anyway. Ooh, twins. There's these really cute twins I went to high school with, and I remember I had a crush on one of them, but it was the other twin that liked me. There you go, level up. So that was funny. Just remembered your channel yesterday. Glad I found it. Well, I'm glad to have you here. Where can I land this thing? Over here, I guess. I've already been here. Uh-oh. Arachnids! These are not spiders. These are arachnids. How long is the Final Fantasy VII Remake? 35 to 40 hours, depending. Depending on how fast or slow you want to take it. I stopped to admire a lot of things, so I haven't actually finished it. I know the ending, but I haven't finished it. I'll probably finish it on stream this month, maybe? I don't know. So, I think a 40-hour RPG is actually pretty reasonable in terms of length. That's not unreasonable to me. There's some pirate variant that has lots of gold in the water. There's a lot of XP. Oh, here we go. I must be poisoned or something. Oh, yeah. Uh-oh. We're gonna have to get some, like... get some stuff to cure the poison. Astos, put up the prince to sleep. Please, save him. Astos, put the prince to sleep. Please save him. I have to go to town. Oh, this is great. Larry's about to die. Let's run. All right. We'll have to res some guys here. Return to life. You have to use the pure. Final Fantasy 8 and 12 are the two best Final Fantasy games. 8 for its story and complexity of the junction system. I love that they didn't do a watered down system. The opposite, in fact. There we go. I don't remember if staying at the end actually does that. It actually fixes that. Should still be poisoned. Let's find out. Did the poison kill him? No, just brought him down to 1 health. We'll see if the inn fixes the poison. $100 gold. Yeah, there goes all my gold. Let's find out. He's still poisoned. All right. Ah. I'm gonna have to go out and like grind some stuff. Yeah, this stuff's all pretty expensive. Go back to the ship and go grind out a level or two, get some gold. Because poison is no joke. Where's my ship? Does it show my ship? No. Go back through the wilderness. There it is. Well, I guess I can't land right there, huh? Oh, great. Fishman! Cleaning my basement. Found number 2 issue of Sly Magazine. Sylvester Stallone Run Magazine. What was I thinking? I don't know. Almost time for the stream to end. 1997, so technically, not technically the 2000s. I liked Final Fantasy XII's systems a lot. And I like the characters. I think it actually had a great cast of characters. I get these weird criticisms that they're like, your main character like isn't the protagonist. That like Ash is actually the protagonist. It's like, yeah. Well, you just aren't starting with like a main guy. You're not starting with like the queen. Obviously. Vaughn had his own little story. His own little growth arc. It was great. But like every character had like a specific arc, either like redemption or growth, that was pretty good in Final Fantasy XII. I have Gothic too. I have actually, yeah, I have the Gothic games. I haven't played them in a long time. What's your thoughts on the way that Guardians of the Galaxy went from being a super obscure property that no one knew about to a major hit? Do you think it's a good sign? Yes. And I think it became a major hit because of people wanted space opera. And they really weren't getting good space opera at all that didn't take itself so seriously. It's very Flash Gordon-y. It's very pulpy. In a good way, I think. No, this wasn't the town I wanted. I wanted the first town. Oh no! Sharks! Sharks on a plane! I love 12, but my problem is that the 6 party members are rather dull. I never really got invested in them. Oh, see, I really liked them all. Also, did you hear that James Gunn got upset when he found out that members of President Trump's Space Force are now officially called Guardians? I hadn't heard that. It's not like he created Guardians of the Galaxy, he just directed a couple movies. I think we all knew he'd be rehired. What am I thinking? Yeah, it's up here. Yeah, run button would have been nice in this game too. I think later versions add a run button, which is pretty good. Fog, ruse. Not what I'm looking for. I think there's a pure one, and it might be in the other town. And then I need more gold. I know there's some white magic that cures poison. Here we go. Fight! There we go. 100, ooh, that guy dropped a lot of gold. Is there any genre of book you haven't done, like you haven't done yet and you'd like to, like romances or something? Romance, yeah. I'd like to do a romance. I know that sounds ridiculous, but not like erotica, but something that's just more like chick lit. We call it chick lit. Silly, I know. I was disappointed that the members of the Space Force weren't called Space Marines. Yeah, that would have been cool. I think Odin... I realized my guys got switched around because of death. Chris Pratt. My wife apparently knows Jeremy Renner, or Jeremy Renner's wife. That other town. Get those sharks. Yeah, I like the way Star-Lord tells people who he is, and they're like, "Who? Who are you?" Shark! I think Bird is actually my stronger warrior, so I need to put him up top. Here. go. Where's that other town? Was it up there? Yeah, I guess then it's up there. Alright, let's go get it. See if I can find the magic I want. No, my. As far as Bob instead of Ernie. Well, I just was going by what people wanted to name it in chat. Lightning down there. Go. I'd like to read one of your books. Is there one I should start with first, or just pick whatever? Any recommendations from the chat, too? I don't know. I'm not going to tell you, like, which is my favorite kid, but, you know. Just depends what kind of books you like. So, if you're on the mailing list at dvspress.com/list, you can get Water of Awakening for free, I think. I think this one's still free. I don't remember which one I put up for free, but I think you get this whole book for free. It's a big book. So that's standard. It's not really standard. It starts as standard fantasy, but becomes surrealist fantasy. You'll see if you read it. So that's a good choice. You can get the Corona-chan collection for free on Amazon. Corona-chan Spreading the Love. And this thing has a whole book in it of mine, Crown of Sight, which you can read for free. Again, that's more surrealist fantasy, or sort of surrealist. You'll see when you read it. So that's a good one to start with as well. What else is pretty cheap? Voices of the Void you can read in 2 hours. A lot of people really like that one. That one's 99 cents. I made it cheap. It's very cheap. Trying to remember what these invisibility lamp. Maybe my guide till maybe the thing has here. Level 2 magic. Yeah, I don't know what lamp does. Mute will, I think, silence them. Invisibility. I'm trying to remember what these do. I know there's one that cures poison. It might be in Elfland, which would kind of suck. There's going to be like a ridiculous amount of gold. What do you think about having question mark and exclamation point if a character yells a question? It's fine. I think that's a fine thing to do. I feel like shaving like a Roman sometime. What straight razor do you recommend? Mine is by Imperial Razor Company from Germany. Mine is 100 years old. It's high carbon steel. That's what you want. There are good stainless steels out of Germany that have enough carbon content that they will hold an edge. If they are like Chinese stainless or any kind of cheap stainless steel, they're not going to hold an edge well. The edge it's too brittle, or you can't feather it right. I actually think the high carbon steel is actually harder and holds an edge better, but it's not. It's more ductile. There's something about it that's better, but usually it's that it's too brittle if you have too much chromium in it. So there's really shiny stainless steels. Yeah, you have to care for an actual straight razor, but they'll last 100 years if you actually care for them. And if they do get rusty, you can polish the rust off with some steel wool, and it's usually still good underneath. You're going to need a good stone to sharpen it with, like a piece of white Arkansas or something, and a strop. But you can get both those pretty cheap, and you could find a really good razor probably at like a junk shop or antique store, an Imperial straight razor, for pretty cheap. I don't remember what these do. Lamp. Let's get a black magic for our boy here. Blur. 2019 Fantasy Christmas Special. I have a bunch of books in it. Yeah, it's like 10 books. But you can only get it in paperback. Oh, nice. Let's get another weapon here. That'll help a lot. I don't know if Larry can actually use that, but let's find out. Weapon. Iron. Okay. That'll probably help us get through this stuff. Alright, we're actually out of time for the stream, so I'm actually going to save the game, and we'll pick it up next time in Elfland. We'll go kill everything in Elfland. I was recently watching some videos on straight razors for shaving. I'm sure a lot of people have some good advice. If you want to use a straight razor, usually you're going to use it with a high glycerin soap. It actually works a little bit better, I think, than like shaving cream. But you could still use shaving cream if you want to, and it'll probably work fine. Trans razors. Now, hold on now. There's trans people who say they're straight. That's gender identity. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna probably call it there, guys. I do appreciate it. The Christmas specials. So this is 2020 Christmas special, Krampus Christmas. This has more of my dark stuff in it. It has the first 2 Moonsong books. Third Moonsong book I'm gonna be editing this month and getting that out. Here's last year's, which both of these will be available throughout the month because print-on-demand stuff is kind of slow due to the lockdowns and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, you can get these. This is paperback only. It's $20.19. This is paperback, $20.20, or you can buy the ebook for $9.99. I've been seeing a lot more sales with the books, with the physical books. So that's kind of where things have been. Also in the new one, besides, you get City of Silver and Tyrant's Gallow is in the Krampus Christmas. The entirety of Muramasa Blood Drinker's in there. So if you want to read that one. If you want the samurai novel, that's also in there. That's a very popular one of mine to start with as well. Okay, thanks. At what age did you realize you wanted to be a writer? Probably 19. No, I don't know. When I wanted to be a writer, probably 19. I started writing stories when I was like 10 or 11. But the idea of doing this on a more, I guess, a higher level didn't really come about till 19, but I didn't do that for a long time. I was a musician. Then I came back to it at the end of my 20s and decided I was going to take up writing and really do it. So anyway, guys, that's that for the first Final Fantasy stream. We'll do some more maybe tomorrow, and I'm going to figure out when I can come up with a more set streaming schedule, and probably be late at night, just to let you know. So thanks, guys, and I'll see you next time. I do appreciate the super chats a lot. Let me make sure I didn't miss any more super chats. So I really do appreciate those. And I don't know. Have a great day. Have a good New Year, and I'll see you guys next time.